were on the edge of being a really good system, but we weren't there yet because we weren't united.
I think we just kept doing things the way we did them, because that's the way we always did them.
In 2006, when I arrived, the school was slated for a closure. The numbers had declined.
And so when I first came here, it wasn't a school that was a school of choice necessarily.
I must say, in that first initial time when I was gathering information about the school, I noticed that we were considerably lacking in a wide range of programs.
Basically any strategy or work if everyone's engaged in it.
This is something where I feel like can make a difference.
The network model allows us to draw on a great deal of experience.
There's a sense of, I think, enthusiasm, and that is starting to translate into motivation, into people wanting to do some things differently.
Hi, Tanya.
Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, good to see
How
you
are
again.
you?
I'm great. So let's go back. What was it like, the culture, I guess, of the system before the new regime?
The culture was very much, we were working somewhat in districts, but not really as a network at all. So schools for a long time had operated on their own.
We were a system of very well-performed schools, but they were all individualised, and they all did it not necessarily in competition, but certainly in isolation. The system was due for a new strategic plan. Right at the moment that I arrived, we started consulting with people and bringing stakeholders in and talking about what should be in this plan. And so the first thing that we asked principals to do was to get alignment within their own school. Have the Dixon College way of doing things, so that all teachers were coalesced around particular strategies and particular pedagogical types, if you like, within that school. To get principals to start having conversations with their staff about what is the Dixon College way of doing things, or what are the things that we believe in. We had to have principals talking to each other, making sure that as a system we were cohesive, and then we had to have principals in schools talking to teachers to make sure that they respected what the teachers brought to the table. And so it was about making sure then that we had professional dialogue on site that was going to help change practice. And so we put in place a network model. We divided our jurisdiction into 4 key areas, and we appointed a network leader for each of those key areas. And their role was to talk about cohesion and alignment within their network, but also to be in schools all the time and having robust dialogue with principals about what are your aims and objectives, what's the evidence that you're using to make sure you get there, and having those people in there challenging principals about their practice, but in a respectful and collegiate way.
In the past, if a principal had a staff member who wasn't sort of lining up with them or wasn't on the bus, then the job was to get them to another school.
Yeah.
Now, I think what autonomy brings is that there is a stronger commitment to building the capacity of their staff. They've selected them. Every school leader really does have the responsibility for the capacity building of their staff and their individuals.
So one of the things we looked for was building capacity and capability within our own system. So we chose principals that were already operating in the ACT, and people that had credibility, people that were seen to be really good principals, and people that embodied the educational leadership that we were talking about.
My name's Linda Baird, and I'm the network leader in Belconnen.
Steve Keebers, School Network Leader, South Western.
And Anne Hero, and I'm the School Network Leader for North Canberra and Gungahlin.
We also want principals who, through a variety of ways, really are respectful both of their teachers and of their community, and are able to draw the best out of that.
So we did all the work and came up with a long list of things. I took the liberty through the consultation to reduce it to 2 words, that everyone matters. From there, everyone matters has evolved into a couple of really specific strategies. One is that parents, community people, they matter as well, and so schools aren't just about students. The other part was that the principal has to lead the learning. The strategy of choice then was coaching, led by the coach.
I'll be nurturing them to go along where principals as learners in their schools, with a view of how do we understand what's going on in all our classrooms. We were having kids going, in many cases, out of our high schools, where our colleges were saying, we're trying to catch these kids up, where they should be ready. A decision was made. They said, well, let's get our key people in our high schools and colleges together and get them to start working together. Now, this has never happened.
The shift from thinking of the system as only being about the centre to being that they are part of the system, that the system is them. 2 years ago, that wouldn't have been the sort of conversation that we would have been able to have.
Originally, prior to networks, we used to just meet as high school sector, college sector, primary sector. There was a certain time of building that trust and also having identifying what our common issues were, what our strengths were, and allowing people to share that information.
We're starting to openly share our data. Okay, now that did not happen before. So what we're doing now is we're starting to put results on the table.
And it's good because the principals in our network don't feel as though we're competing, and it used to be a lot more that each school was concerned only about themselves, and now we're breaking all that down.
Our executive was able to quite openly go to 2 of the schools in our network and another school within our system and say, can we come in and see what you're doing? So our teachers went in large groups into those settings in different schools and brought back wonderful ideas, full of discussion, and that's the power of a network model when we're not scared to share. But it takes a lot of goodwill from our teachers.
Yeah.
And as long as we can build that support and that confidence in our teachers that they really do a brilliant job, then they are willing to have others come and visit what they're doing and themselves go and visit others too.
I think because we are a small system, there's no reason why we can't be sharing our resources, sharing our knowledge, sharing our expertise much more across the network, across the system, but also across the sectors.
What the school network leaders have been able to achieve so far is strong relationships with their principals and the school leadership teams. I see the practices that are about people working together, making decisions that are about the greater good, not just about their school's good.
Because of this momentum and this energy or this thing that's being created, we're seeing schools improve.
My ATAR tertiary entrance rank has gone up from the 70s to the mid-80s.
The other indicator of success is literacy and numeracy results. They're showing growth between the Year 7s and the Year 9s.
The real clincher for us was presenting the outstanding results, and we were showing that reading levels on average were raising by 4 PM benchmark levels for each child.
I think we're starting to see those things pay off actually for schools, and again as the results come, the motivation to do more continues.
There's still work to be done and there's still conversations to be had and there's still people to be convinced, but in general, if you talk to principals in the ACT, they're aligned to a strategy.
It's a really nice supportive mechanism to have, and it makes you feel that you're not alone in this. I mean, I don't actually feel like I'm alone ever, but once in a while I really appreciate having another principal or a network leader, particularly a network leader, to bounce ideas off.
I'm thankful that there's enough forethought within our department to allow network leaders and indeed those who facilitate that kind of change within the network model allow time for those people to be in the schools more often. When I put out to my community that we have an area for development that I'm concerned about, I know nowadays we can go to schools within our network, have an open conversation and say, have you got any ideas for us? It's the beauty and the power of that discussion that is helping the school improvement right across the system.
So we put things in place for the students so they can go from P to 12 with every opportunity. We're aiming high. So yeah, look, it's
it sounds great. I'm glad to be part of it. I'm proud to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.